was a good one.
Viral, calling it.
Yeah, there's a lot of gems in there.
Yeah. I felt it. I was like, let me just keep going. Like, we're gonna have a lot of good. I think it's gonna be really relatable.
Yeah.
Like super. I want it to be like really raw, relatable, and it's funny because he doesn't even know I'm doing this episode. So we'll see. He tells about you anyway. So.
I see your growth, think it's amazing. Always evolving on a daily. She got a smile that's contagious. Got hella joy, don't let them take it.
Welcome back to the Real Joy Podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure you guys are liking and subscribing to the YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. We sometimes drop things that are like little surprises, little sneak peek and behind the scenes. So you definitely don't want to miss out on that. So make sure you subscribe so you never miss anything. So today we are going to start off our episode. Of course, like I said, all the time, we're going to do a journal prompt. So today the journal prompt is from the section of the journal that is called reflection. And I specifically picked this journal prompt today because it kind of got me ready for the episode that I did today, that I prepared for you guys today. So I'm just going to jump right into the question, and then I'm going to jump right into the episode, and then you'll see how important it was for me to start my whole reflection process with this prompt. So it says, what's something that I overcome that once seemed impossible? And for me, this question really made me sit down and reflect and think about just like everything that I've once overcome and like, what am I still trying to overcome today? And I think the more I thought about it, something that I'm overcoming is my decision to get a divorce. And that was something that I've been battling with probably since the day I've gotten married. And I'll talk about it more when we go into relationships. And I'll kind of end the episode on how I even found myself in a marriage that wasn't for me and how I even got that far to marry someone that just wasn't my person. But I think that is something that I've overcome, and just being able to realize how strong I am. And I think sometimes when we get with the wrong person, I think that they can allow your mind to think differently. They can try to paint a different picture of you. They can try to get you to believe things about yourself that may not be true. So this was a decision that I had to overcome because as we talk all the time about being gaslit, being manipulated, sometimes it makes you kind of go back and think like, could I have done things differently, or could I have done it? Like, none of us are perfect, and like there's always room for self-improvement. But sometimes if somebody knows that you're always leading from that perspective, they can kind of manipulate that more and kind of like always make you feel like you need to work on something. But in the end, maybe they're not really working on things themselves. So this has been a decision of mine that I have been going back and forth with since 2022. And I feel like it has hindered me from growing in a self-development kind of perspective. I feel like I have lost a lot of time when it comes to just like creative and different things like that. So I'm ready to overcome that decision, and I'm ready to move on. And we'll talk more about that because today's episode is about relationships. And I started off this episode trying to figure out, what is my relationship with relationships? Like, how did I learn about relationships? What examples did I have in my life? Like I said, I was raised by a single mother, so I didn't see her have any successful marriages. My father passed away. Okay, so this is weird. So I was told that my father passed away when I was really young, but then when my mom passed away, they told me like different stories about my father. So like I was told that he was like actually still alive, but he was in jail, and that she was visiting him in jail, and like she didn't want me to know that. So right away, as you can see, my relationships with relationships, it's been a little weird. It's been a little rocky. But I watched my mom for my whole life. Like I said, she got married when I was maybe around 8 years old, but I feel like even in that relationship, it wasn't the healthiest. I feel like it's funny, because I feel like they were separated more than they were actually married. And I can say that for myself in my own marriage. I feel like we spent more time separated than married. But I remember him living in like his own home. I remember like me going to his house sometimes, like visit my stepdad, but like we didn't all live in the same house for a long period of time. I remember my mom always like motivating him to like finish school, to like get a better job, to get a better car. Like she was always the person that like, I think saw the potential in him, but he didn't do the work himself. And she was always pushing him to want more, to do more. But for the most part, I feel like I watched my mom for my whole life be this successful woman who had multiple businesses, multiple cars, multiple houses. Me and her, believe it or not, renovated like our houses ourselves. We laid carpet, we painted walls, like all of that. So growing up, I personally feel like I didn't see a strong male figure in my life that I could have the example of, oh, this is the type of guy I want to be with when I get older. This is what I want my husband to embody. I want my husband to do these things. I didn't really have anyone to give me that example. My grandmother and my grandfather, they were married since I was younger, but they also didn't have like this loving like connection. Like it was more like transactional. Like my grandmom had my grandfather's breakfast on the table at 8 o'clock, lunch on the table at 12, dinner on the 12 at 5 every day. Like I didn't see them say like, I love you, or I didn't see them like hug or kiss or anything. So I really can't use that as an example. But I just remember at a certain point, I went from seeing my mom be like this independent, strong, single woman, and then like things were shifting. So I think as I got older and I started like getting a life of my own, I think when you're a single mom, right, and your child is growing up and they're going to find their own life, I can think back now to my mom was just like, okay, like I did the mom thing. Now she's on her own. I need a husband. And I feel like that's what kind of started to happen. But my mom like wanted to be a wife times like 1,000. Like she started manifesting for this husband. Like I remember coming home and she was like clearing out her dresser, like a whole dresser. And she went to the store and bought like socks, underwear, undershirts. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, this is for my husband. I'm prepared for my husband. I'm like, who is this man? And she's like, I don't know, but I'm praying and I'm believing that he's going to come. So I have to prepare for him and all these things. And I just feel like over time, she started like seeing her value as a woman and like how she could be a wife and what can she do to prepare to be a wife. And I definitely think when you want something, you have to take preparation or you have to prepare your mind for that season. But I feel like she kind of went a little overboard. And I think over time in my 20s, she started teaching me that the value of being a woman is in being a wife. So I feel like she wasn't teaching me like, I've owned these many businesses, I have these cars, I have these houses. Like, I feel like that wasn't the value that she was teaching me to be a woman. I feel like more so it was like, okay, to be a good woman, you need to be a good wife. And I will never forget, I think I talked about it in the first episode that I met. So not Kalani's dad, but the guy that I was dating after Kalani's dad, who was my like serious relationship. I thought we were going to get married. I remember the first time he came to my house for Sunday dinner and my mom was just like watching me like make his plate. And it's like, she was like, she could not take her eyes off me. She wanted to make sure I made the plate perfectly, that the portions were perfect. And I remember serving him, like, that's what it felt like. Like, I served him, I got the plate right, I got his drink, I got his silverware. And I remember her yelling at me in front of everybody because I forgot to give him a napkin. And looking back at that moment, like, it didn't matter what I did right. It was like in that moment, like, you didn't serve this man properly. Like, you need to give him a napkin. And the fact that my mom puts that much value into serving a man, I feel like that's what I took away in my 20s as what a relationship was. Like, how can I show up and be this? It didn't matter who the guy was, right? Like, I just knew that as a woman, I'm coming to this relationship. I need to serve you. I need to be a wife to you. I need to embody these feminine characteristics. And looking back, it was for people that weren't even qualified for me to give them this whole access to this wifely, like, woman that I was trying to be. And I think in my 20s, like, so let me take a step back. I didn't date in high school. I was very late to the game, I would say. Very, very late to the game. Like I said, Kalani's dad was my first real relationship. I was already in college. We were together that whole time. So I really didn't have a lot of experience when it came to relationships. And Kalani's dad, and like we talked about, ours was more of like a friendship that like fumbled its way into a relationship. So when it came to my experience in relationships, I had no idea what I was doing. So in my 20s, after I was in that real relationship again, right? Like, we met, we fell right into this relationship. My mom had this idea in my mind that when you attach yourself to someone and when you're interested in someone and when you're going to be in a relationship, this is your husband. Like, we date to marry. Like, there is nothing else outside of, oh, is this person someone I like? Like, no, it's like, I love you. You're going to be my man. You're my husband. And that's it. We're going to have kids. Like, and it'll be like off of the simplest things. Like, I didn't really know, excuse my mouth, but like, I didn't know what a fuckboy was, I guess. Like, I didn't know they existed. I didn't know that was a thing. I just thought if you said, I love you, and I said, I love you, we were together. We went together, like nothing else. So I feel like I spent a lot of time in my 20s, like, I know I say this word a lot, but I feel like I was in some delusional relationships. Like, the person wasn't even showing me like any consistency. They weren't showing me that they were husband material, that they wanted to be a husband. They didn't even want to be a boyfriend. A lot of times I look back and there was a lot of situationships, things I did not know. Like, I just figured, you like me, I like you. We spend a lot of time together, so we go together. So just thinking back to that, I feel like when I was looking for relationships, from dealing with my mom and from her teaching me, I only looked for security and protection, right? Because you're talking about someone who didn't grow up with a father. So I feel like I was always looking for someone to protect me, someone I felt safe around, and then security, which was financial security. I wasn't thinking about any emotional intelligence. I wasn't thinking about, are you good for my mental health? Are you good for my self-development? Are you going to help me achieve these goals that are outside of financial stipulations? Just certain things like that. And I feel like over time, I had to come to the conclusion. I remember my ex that I was talking about, who my mom yelled at me for not giving him a napkin. I remember we were in a relationship, and like I said, I was always ready for marriage, I thought, right? Because my mom was teaching me how to be this wife. So I'm like, okay, I'm ready to be married. Like, let's do it. And I remember him having a sit down with me, and he said to me, I don't think you're ready to be a wife. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, my value as a woman is gone. Like, everything that my mom is teaching me, like, she's going to be so disappointed. And looking back, I was not ready to be a wife. You're talking about, I was maybe 25, 26. I thought that being a wife just meant cooking, providing like this very superficial, feminine, like, I just thought that's what it was, but I didn't understand that you need to be spiritually sound, that you need to be emotionally connected to someone. So when he told me that, I feel like my value as a woman just was so tarnished. Like, I I just felt like I was broken a little bit. So after we broke up, I feel like I was just lost. I feel like that's when my dating phase started, right? So you're talking about being late in the game. You're talking about being 20, 27, 26, 27, and now really just starting to date. And me not understanding what dating was just very, I had expectations that just were not realistic. Because I was in long-term relationships for so long, I feel like I always thought that I was going to be taken care of. After we broke up, that's really when my dating phase started. And I will say that my ex, we'll call him, let's give some names, because I feel like these people, they're going to come up a lot. So we have Kalani's dad. Kalani's dad would be Kalani's dad. We'll say the potential, right? Because like I keep saying, this was supposed to be, so we'll call him Mr. Potential. So I think Mr. Potential, our relationship is like my standard in my head when it comes to the way I was treated, what I was shown. Like you're talking about someone who really understood how to like cultivate someone. And I can tell that he really had an idea of what marriage was. Like he was husband material. The only thing about it is at the beginning of everything with us, he stated that he was, so let me explain to you guys why, right? Like I'm saying Mr. Potential, you're probably like, okay, so why aren't you, like what happened? Why didn't you guys work? So yes, Mr. Potential was the guy that came to my house the night that my mother passed, did all the crazy stuff, whatever. But even before that, right, you talk about the jealousy and everything that he embodied that night, thinking that I was with someone. There was a moment in our relationship, it was like at the very beginning, I think we were 6 months in, he told me that he was moving away because he had a job opportunity, but it really was to be with an ex in that town. But he made it seem like to everyone that was for this big job opportunity, and he was so excited. I didn't know that it was to be with someone else. We were still talking. In his mind, he said that we weren't together. We never broke up. So that's like always the thing. But anyway, he moved away to be with her. It didn't work. And he came back to be with me. Never told me anything. I like found this all out after the fact. So came back to be with me because it didn't work out with her. And then I think this is when he was showing me that he wanted to be this husband, but it was really because he had this failed attempt with someone else. So he felt like he had to come back. And I think it was like a little bit of his, like his conscience. It was on his conscience. So he felt like he had to come back and like be this great guy to me and this husband, which he never admitted. I actually like came to find that out by myself, which is really weird real quick. So, you know, like, have you ever been like removed from an area? So say like you used to live somewhere and you visited like 10 years later. I was driving around in an area that I used to be in when I used to talk to him on the phone while he was with the girl, but I didn't know he was with the girl. I hope y'all keeping up. So I was going back and I was like replaying conversations and I'm like, wait, this doesn't make sense. I didn't think that at the time, but for some reason, 10 years later, me driving down these streets, I'm like replaying these things and we weren't together. Like we were far removed and I ended up calling him and I'm like, hey, remember we were together and you told me that you moved for a job? It wasn't for a job, was it? It was like be with someone. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, you're crazy. Like, did you go on her Facebook? Did you see something? I'm like, no, I literally just like, I don't know where it came from. It was like a gut feeling. I was driving, whatever. So it ended up in that conversation telling me like, yeah, you're right. Like, I'm so sorry. And that's what I mean by people gaslighting you and what it can do for your mental health. Because I remember in that moment feeling like something wasn't right. And I remember like questioning him about things. And I remember like feeling crazy, right? Because you have somebody telling you like, no, like, why would I do that? Like, I'm like really into you. Anyway, so yes, so we'll call him Mr. Potential. So Mr. Potential did things like, I was younger than him. I think I'm like 5-6 years younger than him. So he did things like added me to his credit cards, like helped me build my credit. He taught me about budgeting. He taught me about like financial literacy. So this is where I was coming off of when I'm like going into dating, right? So I'm thinking that this is normal stuff. Like when I'm with someone, they're supposed to elevate me. They're supposed to teach me things. They're supposed to put me in like better financial situations. And I think when I started dating, I just realized that I was looking for, like I said, that security and that protection, but there's so much more that you need to have a successful relationship. And I think I would go right into that, but I never took a step back and thought, do I even really like this person, right? Like, I know that sounds so simple, right? But sometimes when you're dating someone, you're like, oh, they look good. They can dress. He got Jordans, like all this like superficial surface things. But like, have you ever like spent time with someone, even like on a friendship level, and like once, like you ever spend a day with someone and you're like, I don't like you. Like, I don't like, I just don't like you. Like, you're arrogant. Your attitude sucks. You get mad over the dumbest stuff. You're boring. You're annoying. I hate that little tick that you do. Like, I hate that you sing the wrong words to a song on purpose. Like, you know, there's just little things about someone that, like, the more you're around them, you're like, ugh. And I feel like I was, like, getting to the point where I would realize these things, like, too... Like, I almost look crazy because it's like, yeah, we're like a month in. I'm saying I love you, all these things. And now I'm 3 months in and you give me the ick. Like, you're giving me the ick. And I think that's what I was starting to like realize. But then I feel bad, right? Because I already said I love you. We're already so deep. But why did I tell you I loved you like 3 weeks into knowing you? Because I really don't know you. I felt myself like, what I think they call it like a serial dater or like a serial monogam, whatever, something like that. But I feel like I would, okay, y'all, so I'm also a track star. Like, I'm also the type of girl that once I get over like, okay, I know I said I loved you. I know like we're supposed to really like each other. But once you kind of give me that like leeway or like, I feel like you're starting to not like me, or if I get a glimpse of like I annoy you or you don't like me, I'm out of there. Like, even before you can say anything, I'm like, oh, okay, so this is over anyway. So I felt like in my 20s, I did a lot of that. Like, okay, yeah, I love you. And a month later, I don't really like you. And now we're like 3-4 months in, and now I can't stand you. And now you just gave me a reason to leave, and I'm out of there. And when I say like I have like such an on and off switch, like I can be like obsessed with you one day, and then like the next I'm just like, sorry, I know I said like I wanted to be with you forever, but I actually was just kidding. So I feel like that's what I did a lot of in my 20s. And let's see. I feel like that kind of made me challenge myself because now I'm a mother, right? So you can't have like all these people around your kid. Like, that's the whole thing. You have to separate dating from being a mom. And it was getting to be a lot, I feel like. And how I found myself in my marriage, right? I was new to Connecticut. I didn't know anyone. And like you guys see Jamie all the time. Like we said, she's like a mom one day, a sister one day, a best friend. She was like, oh, this guy has been in my DMs about you for like 7 or 8 months. And I'm like, what? Like, I was flattered. Like, that's a long time. Like, okay, let's see. And I had seen him pop up on my timeline, and I was like, we weren't like, I think he would send send this message to 20 Black women. And he would like send me one of those, and like I would like it. It's like, oh, you're beautiful or something like that. It's very surface, like whatever. And I remember we went on our first date. It was to like this pizza spot. It was during COVID and had to be outside. And we went to this pizza place and we were sitting there. And I was like, okay, he's cool, you know. And he was given like, oh, I knew you were my wife like the first day I met you. Like when we were at pizza, you choked on your pizza and I just knew. And we like sat in this little alley and like, okay, that was not an alley. Okay, so let me rephrase that. It was a really beautiful alley. Like it was like an alley that was done over. So it had like lights and ivy and like little benches where you can like, so let me correct that. And we had ice cream and we were sitting there, we were talking. And what drew me to him is the way that he was talking about his grandmother. And he was like saying all these sweet things and how his grandmother is like why he is the person that he is and all these things. And I was like, okay, cool. Like he loves his grandma. That's a plus. Like maybe he's going to be respectful to women, right? Because they always say like, pay attention to how a guy treats his mom and how he treats the women around, because that's how he's going to treat you. So I was like, okay, cool. And I remember specifically the moment that everything was like, I remember he came over to my house. My daughter wasn't there. And we were like going to go get food. And I didn't know what I wanted. You know, I'm just a girl. I don't know what I want to eat. And he was like, so what are we going to eat? And I was like, I don't know. What do you want to eat? You know, I'm all bubbly. It's only been 2 weeks in. And I remember his tone with me and the way he responded to me. I remember being like, whoa, like, you haven't been talking to me like that. Like, this is new. And y'all know, like, the first 2 weeks, y'all boo caking on the phone. Like, y'all talking, like, all day, every day. So, like, this tone was so different. I was just like, red flag. Because from that moment, it's like I was starting to see little bits and pieces of him, right? That was, like, being exposed. But you know how you tell yourself, like, no, you're in your 30s now. Now, remember, y'all, when I met him, I was 28. And the goal, right, is to be married by 30s. So I'm like, oh, he's a great guy. And he's nice. And he knew Jamie since, like, 1990. I was born in 1992. So the fact that they knew each other since 1990-something, I was like, oh, I could trust him. They've known each other forever. Right? So he had a lot of green lights for him. So the red lights weren't that loud. So I'm like, maybe that's just me being me, trying to find something. Whew. Listen, even if it's just one red flag, run. Like, if I could give you any advice, if it's a red flag, get out of there. So I like ignored it. And when I tell you, looking back, he became such a mean person, y'all. It was like once I let that slide, it was just like, oh, now I could just be myself. And I remember like looking at him sometimes and being like, is this the person that like says they love me and care for me? And what, like he acted like I was the best thing since sliced bread too, though, y'all. Like act like I was just the most beautiful girl in the world. All these things, wanted to like take care of me. Like I told y'all, so when I first moved to Connecticut, I was living with Jamie, then I found my own place. You know those reels that say I only had enough for a deposit, and then it shows like the empty apartment and you're laying on the floor. Y'all, I had 2 air beds. Like I think I said the other episode, I had 2 air beds. My 55-inch TV was sitting on some bar stools. I was happy though. It was mine. Everything in that apartment was mine. I worked hard for it. It was mine. I think I was driving a 1996 Honda Civic. I didn't care. It was mine. Everything was mine. So he came in and he was just like, oh, I got to get you out of here. Like, oh my gosh. Like he came in my house. I'm like, what's wrong with it? Like, look good to me. Like, he's like, I got to get you out of this area. I got to get you in a better car. Like he's like Captain Save-A-Ho, I feel like. So right away, I was just like, okay, like he trying to, upgrade me and whatever. No, it was control. It was control. And I think a lot of times we see that as like, oh my gosh, like he wants to elevate me. He wants to help me. But he didn't see the value in things that I saw value in. He didn't see my work ethic. He didn't understand my story. He didn't see how to you, it might be less than what you have, but to me, this is all I have. And I worked for this stuff. And people who love me have poured into me and helped me get to this point. So right away, I think that dynamic, I started to feel small. I started to feel like I needed him. Like that was a big thing. Like, oh, let me buy you a mattress because you're sleeping on the airbed. Oh, let me get you a new car and that's what it became, very transactional. And sometimes I think when we're stuck in these places, people can kind of come in and change your mind about like your situation. I wasn't looking at my situation like I was in this bad place. I wasn't looking like, oh, I need a bed. I was sleeping on my airbed and I was fine. I didn't have a problem with it. So I think that's how our relationship kind of propelled so fast, because then you also feel this guilt, right? Of like, okay, I really don't like this person, but now I got to look and see all that they did for me, right? So if I leave now, it's going to look like I used him. It's going to look like I really didn't want him. I wanted these things, even though I didn't ask for these things, but he's giving me these things and you took these things, so you must have wanted them, right? So I feel like all that is like this continuous cycle that is done on purpose, in my opinion, to keep someone where you really don't want to be. I think that he knew that because I was telling someone the other day, the day we got married, I remember him telling me when we left, he was like, I didn't think he was going to show up. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, I was so nervous. Like I was walking around like, is she really going to come? And like, who would feel that way? Like, you know, like getting married. I don't know. And even like how he proposed to me, like, we were the night before, he was like, we should get married. I was like, yeah, for sure. Like the next day we went to go look at rings. I think we like got the cheapest ring in the store. And then that night he came home and invited his friends and family over that I didn't even like or had like a relationship with. He didn't even make sure that one person that I loved was there, Jamie. He had her on FaceTime and proposed to me in my living room. And it was just so like, I don't know. It's just like from the beginning, it just was not right. It's like trying to force a puzzle piece in a puzzle that just doesn't belong. And I feel like we both felt it. But then I feel like there was a lot of trauma bonding and a lot of, what's that other word? Where you just continuously, it was like a comfort zone for us. Like we're just in this, I'm thinking of the word later. I'll use it in my real talk. But it's just like this thing of, right? Like, okay, I'm here, you're here, and we're just going to be together. We're not going to be happy. I probably don't even like you. I know you don't like me, but we're just going to be together in this relationship. And you're going to be stuck with me, and you're going to act like you're happy, and I'm going to act like I'm happy. So after we got married, I was like, okay. I remember praying this prayer to God, and I was like, if I'm meant to be in this marriage, I will have a baby. I will be able to get pregnant. So I remember trying like every month, like, okay, waiting for that sign, waiting for that thing. The thing never came, never got pregnant. So I was like, okay. I remember just having like little games with myself. Like, okay, if I'm supposed to be here, then this is going to happen. If I'm supposed to be here, then this, and the things will never happen. Every situation, it just kept showing me. So I say all this to say that everything that I said about relationships leading up to this marriage kind of shows exactly where my mindset was and why I got married, right? Like, I'm 30. I can't keep dating these people because I know that I'm the issue. I get the ick and I run from people. Okay, so I'm going to hold myself accountable. I'm not going to be selfish. I'm going to provide my daughter with stability, right? I'm going to give her this life that I didn't have. I want her to have a stepdad that's like in the house. Even though she has her own father, I wanted her to grow up with like this dynamic. So I held on to a lot of guilt for all these years, right? At the beginning, I said it took me so long to make this decision, but I feel like I was just faced with all those things. And sometimes, like I always say, I don't like to play victim. So I really try to find me and a way of what could I do to be better? Like I try not to just, well, this person is doing this and this person, no, what am I doing? How am I contributing to this relationship? Because it takes two people. And I feel like even when I strategically and specifically sat myself down and wrote out things that I could work on. And even with me working on those things, even with me showing up every day and being intentional and making sure I'm being this woman, it still didn't work. And sometimes I feel like you have to listen to your gut. Like when you know, right? Like they say, like when you get married, you have that feeling. You also know when you don't want to be with someone. And I feel like I was just trying to ignore it because you get comfortable too, right? Like we have this this thing called bills and life and money. And it's not cheap. It's better to have two people in a household, right? Like 50-50, you do this, I do that. But at what cost? Everything comes with a cost. And I had to tell myself that, like, yes, these things are being met, but what are you sacrificing for that? What does your mental health look like? What's the damage that you're causing for a price of what? Let's say someone's bringing $3,000 a month. Is it worth that? Or could you hustle harder? So I think I just came to that conclusion of, sometimes it's just a no. And you got to just go with the no. We've probably had about 4 signed divorce papers that have been ready to be processed. He's like, okay, I'm going to call the lawyers and I'm going to have them do it. And then, how time goes by and then like someone starts to be nice. You're like, okay, well, let's just ride this wave out. And then the next big blow up happens and like, see, this is why we were going to get this divorce, right? Then you go back to it and then the papers get signed again. And then the whole process happens and then they become nice again, right? And it's like this cycle, this continuous cycle. And I am hopping off the ride. I don't want to do it anymore. It is very frustrating. It drains you. It's like one of those things that you feel like even if you're not talking about it, even if you're not fighting, it's still a weight. It's a weight because you're somewhere where you're not supposed to be and you're confining yourself. Like I feel like this is the world and this is me in this situation because I'm still confined. So I'm just excited to move on. I know that a lot of my friends, they ask me like, so do you still believe in marriage? Like, do you still want to be in love? And I tell people, I want to be by myself. I have not been by myself since I've started dating. I've always felt like I needed someone. I always felt like I needed that security, that protection. And I really want to take this season to be everything I need. I want to be that for myself. I feel like people really, before you get into serious relationships, before you get married, you really need to make sure that you are really healed. I know that you're never fully healed, right? But make sure that you are really aware of where you are mentally and emotionally. Really think about the things in your life and how they shape you to be who you are today. Because I really feel like the people who I'm attracted to today, I was not attracted to 5 years ago because of the things that I had to overcome for myself, because of the things I had to believe for myself. And I feel like when you are coming from a place of brokenness, you will attract brokenness. And I feel like now that I can have this level of emotional intelligence because I'm working on my mental health, because I'm doing things like this, I really feel like I have leveled myself up in so many ways that the type of people I will attract now will be more like-minded, will be doing things that I'm doing, will have this creative side to them, will have this ambition about them. So if I can give advice to younger women, to anyone, just anyone, honestly, who can hear my voice, like really make sure that you're not out there looking for someone to complete you, right? Like I know like we love companionship and it feels good to be with someone, but make sure that everything that you're looking for, make sure that you can give it to yourself before you look for it outward, if that makes sense. I would tell people, if you want to be married, make sure you want the marriage and not just the wedding. I think that people love, the day we get to look beautiful. We get our makeup done, our hair done. It's a big party. We have this white dress. It's wonderful. But the marriage after the wedding, if you do it with the wrong person, it'll make you or break you. And I really think that people don't understand that marriage is an everyday commitment. It is work. If it's done with the right person, it's still going to be work. It just looks different, but it's work. You have to show up daily, not just for yourself, but for someone else too. You have to take how somebody feels at all times. You have to look at things from their perspective. It's a job. Okay. So I think that a lot of people, we have this set, I want to be married in this time, but make sure that you're actually prepared for what a marriage really is. Another thing I would say, that when you are looking for a husband, or men, when you're looking for a wife, really pay attention to that example that that person has around them. What kind of marriages are they looking at? See who they look up to. Like, do you have a family member that you look up to? Are they married? Like, really try to see what they feel like a husband is and what a wife is. Really think about their expectations. Make sure that you're aligned with your values, your morals. I think a lot of that happened in my marriage too. We were having conversations and I couldn't believe the things that were coming out of his mouth. I'm like, you really think like that? Like, you would really do that in that situation? You really talk about women like that? Like, there were just so many things that I was just like, I wouldn't even be your friend. And here I am and I'm your wife. Like, that's crazy. So just really make sure that, like, you know what you're getting yourself into. I feel like in my generation, we kind of don't understand the importance and the value and the weight that a marriage is. I think that we just see it as, I think in our culture, right? You go in Shade Room and this celebrity has been married 3 times and they're just getting married to the hottest celebrity ever. Like, no, that's not marriage. Like, marriage really is supposed to be something that it's a lifelong commitment to somebody, for better or for worse. Like, really hone in on that when you're choosing on who you want to be married to. So that's my take on relationships and marriages. I do pray one day that I will have my happily ever after and I will find my husband, but I'm not focused on that right now. I need to focus on the real joy. We got to make this podcast the number 1 podcast in the world. We have to, I have to be a content creator. I have to do all these things. So like, all these things are more important right now in this season for me. So yeah, I'm so glad that you guys tuned into this episode, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Real Joy podcast. I hope today's conversation brought you closer to finding your own joy and left you feeling inspired. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you like what you heard, share it with your circle. It might be just the thing they need. Let's keep growing, glowing, and finding joy together. Until next time, take care of yourself and remember to keep it relaxed, relatable, and real. See you soon.
I can see you making moves. The chosen one, we steady choosing you. She dope as hell, plus she a Libra too.